There are questions around this year, questions about politics, questions about mass movements. Is the political wind shifting? Is there a change in direction? Does the campaign of Bernie Sanders or anyone else in this election mean that people are fed up and tired with politics as usual? What will the role of labor be in all this? Here to discuss these and other related issues is Larry Cohen. Larry is the immediate past president of the Communication Workers of America. He is head of the Democracy Initiative, and he is working with the Bernie Sanders for President campaign, and he'll be here to talk to us about all of those things right now. Larry, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So listen, one of the things I know you've been doing, and we might as well get right into it, is you've been helping put together or leading a coalition of folks called Labor for Bernie. And I should be upfront, as I always am, and say that I work for Bernie also. So we'll try to talk about it in an objective way, informative way. We can throw in whatever opinions we want. But what exactly is Labor for Bernie?
Well, so there's different parts to it, but Labor for Bernie is about 5,000 people who have openly joined. You can see the names scroll on that website, laborforbernie.com. And they come from every union, and basically they're working people who are fed up, sick and tired of being sick and tired, as Fannie Lou Hamer said 50 years ago, and believe that through this campaign can not only help elect a great human being president, but also build a movement that is quite different than what existed before Bernie decided to run on April 30th.
Yeah, I like the fact that you mentioned the movement aspect of it, because one of the, leaving aside whether any given listener to this radio program plans to vote for Bernie, one of Bernie Sanders' strategies is, and one of his ideas is that you can't generate significant political change without a movement behind the candidate or candidates. That right now money is so influential that once they get into office, for example, even to be effective, they've got to have a movement behind them demanding the things that they want. Now we know of times in history when labor has been a key element of that movement. Is it today a key element of the movement? Can it be in the future? How do you see labor melding with other forms of political activism?
Well, so labor, in that sense, is a big tent. It isn't a unified strategy. Labor can mean labor unions, meaning national labor unions. It can mean labor in Iowa. It can mean working people. And I think in today's times, there's competing strategies. People who say they're labor have vastly different points of view, whether it's on Keystone or on Clinton versus Sanders. So I think what the Bernie campaign is an opportunity for people who have a vision similar to his, that are working people, actively involved in unions or not, and it's a chance to build something and to work with other people who have a similar point of view. So that's what I think is happening. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to see all of labor or most national unions go there. I don't think that happens. But I think what we are seeing is hundreds of thousands of union members and a million probably other working Americans joining this campaign, volunteering in some way.
And if you let's switch for a second, if we would, to the Republican side. I know you mentioned Clinton or Sanders as a choice. There was a time, as you know, 1956 Republican Party platform boasted about the fact that Dwight D. Eisenhower had increased union membership, or union membership had increased during his tenure, boasted about the fact he'd put more people on Social Security and so on, and increased its benefits. So have we just reached a point in American history where it makes no sense for, let's say in this case, organized labor to court Republican politicians? Are they just off the map now?
Well, so none of the 16 or 17 that say they're running support collective bargaining. So you can, more recently, 1974, the last extension of the National Labor Relations Act, Gerald Ford was president, signed that, and the same percentage of Republicans in the House and in the Congress at that time voted for that extension to healthcare workers and nonprofits as Democrats. And that was also true in 1935 when the original National Labor Relations Act was passed. So, yeah, I mean, there's a total void in terms of Republican presidential candidates, and for the most part in the Senate and House as well, who even say that collective bargaining is necessary in a democratic society, that workplace rights are a part of that. There's probably 10 Republicans left in the House and none in the Senate who support collective bargaining.
So I guess the answer to that is the Republicans are not a viable alternative if you believe in the labor movement.
Yeah, I mean, for working people, for lots of other reasons, like CWA membership, out of 600,000 active members, 100,000 retirees, probably 100,000 are registered as Republicans. So they may live in the South or they may live in the West, not predominantly in the Northeast. But, we do say to them in the CWA, get active, bring workers' rights, healthcare rights, environmental rights arguments into the Republican Party. How many of them try to do that at this point? I don't think very many.
So what do you see going forward in terms of the Labor for Bernie effort? Is that going well? Is that working? Is that expanding? Next steps?
Yeah, so it really has there's two strategies tied to it. One is, labor active in Iowa and other key primary states. Like yesterday, the Iowa Federation of Labor had a forum, candidates forum. The National AFL-CIO president went to Altoona, Iowa for that forum, and they questioned the Democratic candidates. Secretary Clinton chose not to participate. The other Democrats that are running did participate. So one part of Labor for Bernie is to be active in that kind of situation, trying to move union members and their organizations to support Bernie because of his stand on issues like fair trade, not fast track, not Trans-Pacific Partnership, and many collective bargaining rights. He's way in the forefront, has been for his whole lifetime. The $15 an hour minimum wage, tax the rich. I mean, the list goes on and on. So that's one part, is within labor. The other is to activate union members, where they live, in key primaries, and using that brand, not just Labor for Bernie, but we're active in our union. We're trying to get our union in Iowa to be engaged, our local union to endorse, to put some resources in, to encourage volunteers. So it's two things. It's horizontal, really, where people live, and it's vertical, up and down through the union that they're a part of, to try to build support within that union for Bernie Sanders.
All right, good. Well, where can people go to find out more about that? You said laborforbernie.com or org? Or?
Yeah, laborforbernie.org, actually. I may have said com. And also we have berniesanders.com, where my partner here writes Democracy Daily every day. Right. Read that too. But yeah, I mean, you can get involved that way. And then, more specifically, in your local union, push for a committee there, and at some point for endorsement for Bernie Sanders as the candidate of working class Americans.
Okay, very good. Well, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you very much, Larry Cohen, Labor for Bernie Democracy Initiative, past president of Communication Workers of America. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.